Hey, how you doing? Gotta get this over with quick. You see, I got a date. Hello, beautiful. Her name is Suzanne. Oh, she lives in the dumpster in the back of Chez Elegant. Oh, real classy. And Suzanne, she is a looker. Big brown eyes, a figure you can't believe, and a set of feelers. Oh, baby. Personality? Sense of humor? Intelligence? Get real. The most important thing in life is, looks.
Yeah.
What?
This beautiful roach left this note for me.
Oh. I should get danger pay for being so close to this part of Maurice. Hold on. Dear Larry, sorry I can't make it tonight, but I'm going out with Sydney?
Hey, everybody! Larry got stood up! Larry got stood up! Larry got stood up!
I've never been stood up before. I'm shocked. I need some time to. I'll be okay, and I'll be right back after this freaky story.
This is a true story. It happened to a friend of mine, Alice, a computer science major just like me. Oh, some people thought she was a geek because she created her own software program, the Maximum Efficiency Life Organizer, or Mello for short. You see, Alice didn't believe in leaving anything to chance, and Mello kept her life perfectly organized. There was only one thing Alice couldn't control: how she felt around Gord, Mr. Big Man on campus, Mr. I'm so good looking. Every time Alice saw Gord, she would get this nervous rumbling in the pit of her stomach. But Alice decided that with the help of Mello, Gord would be hers. Phase 1, setting up the date. In exchange for designing a spreadsheet, a mutual friend set them up on a blind date. Check. Phase 2, the makeover. Alice scoured the web for the latest fashion trends, scanned in a picture of herself, and superimposed the right hairstyle, makeup, clothes, and accessories. Check. Phase 3, common interests. Alice boned up on fascinating subjects of earth-shattering proportions. Check. Finally came the day of the date. If Alice was to be ready for Gord by 8 p.m. that evening, she'd have to adhere to every second of Mello's schedule. But at 4:46, Alice realized she was starving. She scanned the itinerary, but Mello didn't schedule time to eat. But if she didn't eat, she was going to faint. Alice raced to the kitchen. She checked the cupboards, the bread box, even the cookie jar. There was nothing. Her last hope was the fridge. Mustard? No. Sour milk? Grouse. A bowl of leftover chili? That would have to do. Alice scarfed it down and flew back upstairs to resume preparation. And at 7:59, there she stood in front of the mirror. Finished! Following Mello's plans, Alice transformed herself into a babe. Then she felt a rumble in the pit of her stomach. But Alice knew it was just a nervous reaction to thinking about Gord. Ding dong! And there he was. Alice opened the door. The look on his face told Alice that Gord was nailed. Except she just wished that feeling in her stomach would go away. Then it hit her. These weren't the usual nervous rumblings she got around Gord. The chili she'd eaten earlier was giving her gas. Oh no, not tonight. Gord made small talk, but all Alice could think of was her giant gas cramp. Then, once again, her genius mind came up with the perfect plan. Gord held open the car door as Alice eased herself into her seat. He closed the door and began to walk around the car. Quickly, she rolled down the window, let her rip, and fanned the rank fumes into the cool night air. Mission accomplished. Gord got in. He smiled and asked, Alice, have you met Ron and Donna? Alice turned and looked into a pair of horrified faces gasping for air in the back seat. Hey, it's a true story. It happened to a friend of mine. No, Alice never did go out with Gord again. But I know where you can find a used computer really cheap.
Letters, we get letters. We get lots and lots of letters. Our first letter is from, Paulo, a caterpillar living in Buenos Aires. Dear Larry, my girlfriend, Carmen, caught me playing footsie with a centipede. When you play footsie with a centipede, you really play footsie. Ba-da-boom. Let's see here. How do I get back with Carmen? Signed, Footloose. Hey, come here, Mr. Cameraman. That's it. Far enough. Dear Footloose, who cares? Well, now, am I over my little snit of disappointment? No.
Oh, Larry, you help everybody else. Why won't you help me?
Well, what do you want?
I want to be charming.
It'll never happen.
Please teach me, Larry. Teach me to be charming.
Later, maybe. When I recover. I've had a little trauma here, you know. Now, let's have a freaky story. It'll make me feel better.
This is a true story. It happened to a friend of mine. Scotty was 14. Nice guy, good grades, but he was shy around girls. I mean, not just a little tongue-tied. If a girl even came near, the part of his brain that controlled his speech would suddenly spaz up and he'd be babbling baby talk. And what's worse, he'd just moved and started at our school where he knew no one at all. Now, there was this one girl he really had his eye on, Sarah. Really smart and really cute. She was in a couple of his classes, and she used the same crosswalk at 5th Street as him every morning on her way to school. She'd smile at Scotty and say hello, but Scotty, the best he could manage was some kind of gurgling sound. And every morning, he'd practice what he was going to say to Sarah in the bathroom mirror. But at school, his tongue would tangle up in his mouth as soon as Sarah got within 10 feet of him. So one morning, Scotty went to the crosswalk, all revved up to ask Sarah to the school dance. He spotted her, she spotted him. She smiled and said hello. He tripped over his own tongue. She just shrugged and walked away. Scotty stood there, banging his head against a mailbox. Then, from out of nowhere, this girl about the same age as Sarah strolled up to him and said, "Hi, I'm Jennifer." And it must have been a miracle, but Scotty's tongue untied itself and he said, "Hi, I'm Scotty." She said, "I couldn't help notice you banging your head against that mailbox. Anything wrong?" Scotty told her, "No, not really." And they start to walk along, talking about stuff. Nothing major, just things like the weather or that new song on the radio. And Scotty started to relax. Soon he was talking to her as if she was one of his basketball buddies. He'd suddenly realized girls weren't scary after all. Seemed like no time had passed at all when they arrived at school. Jennifer said that she'd really enjoyed talking with him, but she didn't go to this school anymore. Okay, he thought, just his luck. But then she leaned over, gave him a kiss on the cheek, and walked away. Well, Scotty was suddenly a whole different person. He strolled down the school hallways saying hi to this girl, howdy to that girl. He gained a new confidence. He walked right up to Sarah and could hardly believe it, but real words came out. They talked a while, and he asked her out. But the even bigger surprise was she said yes. Scotty was so grateful to Jennifer for turning his life around, he wanted to thank her. He got her address from the phone book, and after school took all the money he had on him and bought a nice bouquet of flowers. He hurried to Jennifer's house, hoping that she hadn't moved or anything. He found the place all right. It looked pretty much like all the other houses on the block. He rang the bell. This lady, looking kind of like she's had a bad time of it lately, answered. He said, "Hi, is Jennifer home from school yet?" She smiled at him for a while like it was some old joke she'd heard before. Then she said, "Is she up to her old tricks again?" Old tricks? Scotty had no idea what she was talking about, so she explained. Jennifer likes to help people. And Scotty said, "She sure helped me." And the lady went on to tell him how Jennifer came back every year on that date to find someone who needed help. Scotty thought for a second and asked, "Back from where?" The lady said, "Jennifer died 10 years ago this very day. I guess she'll keep coming back as long as she's needed." This is a true story. It happened to a friend of mine. Whenever Scotty comes back to town, he goes down to 5th Street. But no Jennifer. She must be helping someone else.
Oh, are we back? Okay, so you want to know why I'm depressed? Look at this. Is she the best thing on 6 legs you've ever seen? Oh, what? I can't go on. Let's have our next.
What about me? You're gonna teach me to be charming.
Okay. Right after this next freaky story. Suzanne.
This is a true story. It happened to a friend of mine. Well, not a friend so much as a student in my gym class. A geeky little weenie named Danny. Now, Danny isn't like the other boys. He kept a plastic pen holder in his gym t-shirt pocket. And those glasses he wears, I'll bet the Hubble telescope didn't have lenses that thick. Like I said, Danny's not like the other boys in class. Certainly not like Biff and Garth, the 1-2 punch on my hockey team, football team, soccer team, and every other team I coach. Well, the other day at lunch, one of my linebackers wanted to see if Danny could eat a Twinkie through his ear. Imagine my surprise when Biff and Garth broke it up without so much as a crumb ending up in Danny's hair. And if that wasn't enough, they sat down and ate lunch with Danny. And then I hear Biff ask Danny if he's planning to attend the big Halloween dance. No, says Danny. Then Garth says his cousin's coming from Springfield this weekend, and she'd love to go to the dance. And Biff looks at Garth, and Garth looks at Biff, and they both look at Danny. There he is in mid-chew of his sandwich. And Garth says to Danny, "You're the man, Dan. She'll meet you at the dance at 8 sharp. They slapped him on the back, and I spent the next half hour cleaning egg salad off the cafeteria wall. Later, I heard Biff ask Garth if his cousin's still as ugly as she was last time she was in town. Braces, glasses, zits. Well, Garth thought about it for a minute and said, "It's Halloween, who'll notice?" Danny's more scared than he's ever been in his life. It's his first date. So, what to wear? He's got 15 costumes and tries each one on. Nothing works. Finally, he settles on Marty the Martian from the TV show Space Base Mars. And you know what? With that green makeup and those ears and that nose, well, Danny made a great Martian. And so he shows up at the dance. He was so scared he was tossing his cookies. Biff came as a football player, and Garth, well, bless him, he came as me. But Jenny had a great costume. She was dressed as a Dromidian from Space Base Mars, and her mask, it was scary how great it looked. When Danny saw that his date was a fellow Space Base Mars freak, I swear I saw a little color come through his green makeup. Danny and Jenny went off to the gym and danced up a storm. Jenny was just great, the nicest girl Danny ever met. They even won first prize in the couples costume contest, a marriage made in Space Base heaven. And soon the dance was over. Danny offered to walk Jenny back home, and she said yes. And as they walked down the street, Danny got up enough courage to hold Jenny's hand. And that's when they found themselves on the front porch of Garth's house, where Jenny was staying. He wanted to give Jenny a kiss goodnight. In fact, she was starting to move closer and closer to him. So Danny inches closer and closer and wait! He stops. If this is going to be his very first kiss, he didn't want to kiss a mask. He wanted the real thing. So he reaches for Jenny's mask, and she pulls away. But he grabs it as she turns, and Jenny tells him to close his eyes, and she'll give him a kiss. Yes. So now, he's holding her Dromidian mask in his hand, and he's got his eyes closed, and his lips puckered up and ready. And that, she plants a kiss right on him. Then he opens his eyes, and guess what? Jenny looks exactly like Danny. Curly ears, crinkly nose, glasses and all. They really and truly were made for each other. Yes, sir, that's a true story. And it happened to a friend of mine. And since that night, Danny still looks the same. Well, except for that goofy eyelid love look pasted all over his face.
Hey, I'm doing this for Maurice, for educational purposes, so cut the fancy lighting, all right? You know, I could get attracted to me. Anyway, okay, Maurice, I'm a girl, and you're, you.
Yeah. Okay.
You are so beautiful.
Would you please? Now, ask me to go out with you. Brother. Go on, ask.
Beautiful roach like you would never go out with a maggot like me.
Well, of course not. Ask me anyway.
Would you like to go out with me, babe? What? What?
It is politically incorrect to call a babe a babe. Now, try it again.
Would you like to go out with me, Ms.?
Well.
We could go to dinner. I know a nice place behind the grease trap. What? What?
I know what goes on behind the grease trap, and I'm not that kind of girl.
There's something going on behind the grease trap?
Oh, I give up. Let's have another story.
This is a true story. It happened to a friend of mine. Joe was a traveling salesman whose territory covered most of the Omega sector. He drove around hawking what he called quality merchandise. Dime store stuff, grav jigs, and time coders. Business had been pretty good for Joe. He was a sharp dresser and liked the ladies. And the ladies, they liked him back. One night he was heading in from his last call. The rain was coming down in torrents, and Joe was feeling as miserable as the weather. He was getting drowsy, so he went to a diner for some Java. There was a prowl car parked outside, a big one of those Kolokov anti-grav jobs imported from Minsk. Joe parked a few spaces away from it. He sure didn't want to mess with one of those. The cop was showing mugshots to the counter help as Joe entered the diner. The lawman eyed the huckster with suspicion as the night dripped from his coat. Joe sat down and placed his order. The cop sat at the counter, a few seats away from Joe, and ordered the usual. The waitress slid him his coffee and dunkers, the usual. Joe eyed the counter help. They sure didn't make him like her anymore. A little rusty around the edges, but pretty well preserved, considering her age. "You haven't seen anyone out walking, have you?" said the cop, giving Joe the eye. "On a night like this, not a chance." "Why?" asked Joe, between sips of his coffee. "Because the slasher just broke out of the joint." "The slasher? Wasn't he the guy who—" "Yeah," said the cop. They turned their attention to the steaming Java. Finally, the rain began to let up. Joe paid his tab and headed back out to his car. As he strapped himself in, he glanced back at the diner. The waitress was talking to the cop and pointing right at him. Joe watched as the cop turned around and locked his electro eye on him. Joe started the hover glide unit and the car thrummed to life. The cop climbed into his cruiser. The Kolokov's boosters lifted it into a pursuit stance. Pulled out and followed Joe onto the road. Joe looked into the rearview mirror. The squad car was gaining, fast. Now, Joe wasn't a guy prone to panic. But what had the waitress said to send the cop after him? And why? The squad car kept coming. It was right on his bumper when the cherry top flashed and a siren started to wail. A sheen of cold sweat broke out over Joe's body. The waitress, it was her fault. You can never trust a robo, especially a robo dame. He'd been framed. Joe eased off the gas and pulled over. He lowered the window and waited, soaking in his cold sweat as the cop walked up to the car. What did she tell him? The policeman told him to get out of the car. But, officer, Listen, stammered Joe. Now. Joe got out of the sedan. The cop looked him over, then reached for his neuroblocker. Joe froze, eyes wide open. Those things can really hurt a guy. The cop shoved Joe left inside. There were the sounds of a scuffle, then a flash of purple light, and a body hit the ground, twitching. The body of the guy who had been hiding in Joe's back seat. An escaped madman, the slasher. He'd been waiting for Joe. Hey, it's a true story. Happened to a friend of mine. And I heard that after that little incident, Joe made a special request to the company. A transfer to a desk job.
So, I got dumped for a better-looking cockroach. Life goes on.
She's back.
Who?
Suzanne, she's outside. Says you're going to date with her.
What?
I know why she's back. I know why she's back. Suzanne got to the waste disposal plant early. She got a peek at Sydney while he was dressing.
Yeah. And?
Sydney wears a girdle.
Who is the fairest of them all?
Well, I guess it's up to me to say goodbye for now. I'll see you all next time with more.
I am looking good. I am irresistible. And it's only all natural, pure